Today, I'm going to be talking to you about why you're doing your content marketing wrong and what you need to do instead. Okay. So when you think of content, you're most likely thinking about the content that you share on social media, and specifically Instagram is one of the key ones, right? That's the one that usually comes to mind when we're thinking about social media. It's Instagram, good old Instagram. And that content, it could be photos, it could be reels, stories. And of course, this type of content should be part of your content strategy. But when it's only this content that you're focusing on, okay, when you're only thinking about the content that you're sharing on Instagram, like the reels and the stories and, the short form videos, you're missing an essential element of your overall content strategy, okay? And this is what most teachers are doing. So you're not alone if this is you. If you are spending your time and energy thinking about what am I going to post on Facebook, what am I going to post on Instagram? Now, of course, the algorithms in these social apps that we're using, they push us towards these features such as stories and reels and so on, okay? And of course, we then have new apps that arrive on the scene, right? Such as Threads, the latest new kid on the block. And again, we have to think about the content that we're sharing on this app. In this case, it's written short form tweet-like content. And, certainly these apps, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, these platforms and the features that they're pushing to us are the short form content features. Okay, so, it's no surprise that we think that that's what content is when we think about our content strategy. And what I know to be true here at Digital Yoga Academy, our content marketing strategy has been reliant on one thing, okay? From the very beginning, it's been reliant on one thing, and that's long form content, okay? And it's the same for our students who, those students that are in our programs and are getting really tangible results, like they're getting the 5K, the 10K, the 20K launches. They also have a long form content strategy in place, okay? They're not relying on short form content such as reels and stories as the only form of content that they're sharing. So long form content, okay, and by that I mean blog posts, okay, written long form blog post content, videos, live videos, right? Live trainings, the podcast, okay? Again, it's audio, long form audio content. Video content that's been uploaded onto our YouTube channel is long form content where people can go and binge watch that content. This long form content is how I've built my business. It's how I've built trust in my community. It's how I've established myself as an authority in my specific space, okay? And this is exactly what you can do in your specific space. And, it's how I've attracted a community, right? This community that's here watching this today, listening to this now, is how I've converted community members into paying students and clients. My entire content marketing strategy has been based on this long form content. And as I said, this long form content is primarily delivered, okay, and shared in a live video or through our podcast or on our website. Yes, it's definitely on our website. We've got tons and tons of blog posts there on our website that's helping us to drive traffic from Google every single day. Okay. And, I've been doing this since 2017. And, in that time, social media has changed a lot. New platforms have come out. We've had TikTok, we had Clubhouse, which kind of came and went. We've got Threads and consumer behavior. Okay, the people consuming the content that we're sharing, the consumers who are buying our offerings, consumer behavior, specifically on social media, the way we interact with people, the way we interact with the profiles and the businesses that we are, and our friends even, the way we interact with people on social media has changed. The way we comment culture, let's call it, it's changed because now Now we're used to just scrolling through apps like TikTok, or scrolling through reels on Instagram versus actually stopping and pausing to leave a comment. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why engagement has changed on Instagram. Engagement, the algorithm, everything has changed on Instagram. And I think TikTok really changed the game, right? In terms of like how content is created and how it's shared and how it's actually consumed by people. And even though we've had all these changes, in the social media landscape, and new features have been implemented and rolled out, new platforms launched, there's two truths, right? Two things that have remained true, that have remained consistent. And I think, regardless of where you're at in your journey, I really hope that what I'm sharing today is going to give you permission to really just focus on the fundamentals, okay? Versus being like the bandwagon business owner, where you're jumping from feature to feature and shiny object to shiny object. Okay, I want you to just instead focus on the fundamentals, focus on the foundations. Yeah, focus on the things that give you this long-term, organic, sustainable growth. Okay, so these two things I'm going to talk about now. And as I said, they've been true, they've been consistent all of these years. The first is about creating bingeable, long form content. Bingeable content. Long form content is content we can binge on, right? We can be watching it, listening to it for hours. And it's really been the foundation for my business, regardless of what other features have come out, content creation or creating long form content even that's bingeable for your audience is key. That's the first thing. And number two is really creating this kind of content bank, really a body of work, let's say, to help you to build trust and to help you to establish your authority, share your perspective, help you to shift beliefs. That's really important, shift beliefs, and really just align your potential paying students with how they're making buying decisions. These two things have never really changed, regardless of how much social media has evolved. When you're looking at your own marketing, your content strategy, a good question to ask yourself is, do I have a body of work? Meaning, if someone was to Google your name, is there an existing body of work that showcases what you do and how you do it? Showcases, what you're bringing into the world, shows your face, shares your opinion, and is it bingeable? I.e., they can go and consume it for a large amount of time. Without having to do anything, without having to give you an email address, they can go onto, your YouTube channel and find your videos. They can go into your Facebook group, like where you are now, and find your weekly live videos that you've been doing, sharing on these topics, and, going back to what I said, sharing content that allows you to help your potential students make buying decisions. That's a key thing. I teach this in my program. It's a very specific strategy that's going to help you to move your students along their buying decision through the content that you're sharing. And that isn't just sharing willy-nilly reels that don't have any strategy behind them. Okay? So your goal, your role as a business owner, as a marketer, is to actually be creating this content that is strategic. That's strategic, that's really moving someone along, where they're considering your offer, they're weighing up the options, they're looking at their own limiting beliefs with this topic, and you're helping to move them through these things. So ask yourself, do you have an existing body of work? And is it bingeable? I've had multiple students come into my, $2.5 programs, even the Visionary Mastermind, a $12,000 program. I had someone come into that because they discovered me on the podcast. You know, so like this content allows you not just to be discovered, but for people to really get to know you in a deeper way through your content because it's bingeable and because there's a lot of it. You know, in the beginning, there's not going to be a lot of it. You know, I started with one video, one podcast episode, one blog post. But the more consistent we are, we build up our body of work. We build up this content bank. So those are the two things that, you know, when I look back at the last 6 years, they have been the things that have really allowed me to maintain the growth, to maintain results, to maintain success. And you know, when I look at the teachers that I coach, or the teachers that have been in the programs that have really done the work, you know, they've got to the end, they've created and launched their courses, following the process, the framework. You know, that's what makes them successful, because they follow the framework, right? They actually come into a program and they do the work, guys, versus someone who might come into a program and not do the work. Yeah, we have in whatever course you always have, you know, it's always your job as the course creator to get your students to the finish line. Yeah, and it's well, I'll talk about it in a moment. What actually makes that more, like, what makes that a success? But it's a challenge for course creators. It's something you have to look at. And actually, your long form content can help you with that. And I'll mention that in a moment. This is what makes them successful, is they have this long form content. And this is the consistent week after week, long piece of content, right? Long piece of content that they can repurpose across all of their channels. Yeah, this is important, into the short form content. I'll say that again. Consistent long form content that you're creating week after week that you can then repurpose across all of the other channels into the short form content. Yeah, this is the other amazing benefit of starting your content creation process with the long form content. You get to repurpose it into that shorter form piece, into the shorter form pieces. So it actually makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? You're not starting with a reel. You're starting with the long form content. And when you learn the repurposing process, then it's easy to make the reel. You know, it's easy to do that. So again, you know, this is the thing that's made us successful here at Digital Yoga Academy, and, you know, many of our students, like, regardless of what's going on in the social media landscape, this is a solid, you know, foundation that doesn't change. You know, there's many changes happening here in the social media world. Okay, but this is a solid strategy. And, you know, having that existing body of work that really shows your face and your voice, your opinions, shares on the topics, talks about the myths, the mistakes, talks about, you know, the limiting beliefs, helps your potential students, your audience, to see their own limiting beliefs about this topic that you're sharing on. Yeah, that's important. That's the type of content that's going to help you to convert people into paying students. And, you know, you have to have this existing bank. You know, it has to be bingeable. Especially, okay, and this is a shout out to my, to the teachers, the amazing yoga business owners in the Visionary Mastermind, but especially if you're selling high ticket. And this is also for those of you in the Profitable Yoga Teacher program as well. You know, in the Profitable Yoga Teacher program, I teach you how to create an online course that's at least, right, that's at least $500. But there's many of you who are in this program who are actually starting at $1,000. You know, that you're creating a program and you're putting everything into it and you're doing the work, and you're like, hey, this program is going to be valued at $1,000. Okay, so if you're selling high ticket, and I always see high ticket as anything from 1,000 upwards. Let's say you're a teacher that already has, you know, a growing community. Maybe you have a couple of low ticket, you know, 200, 300 online courses, and now you want to explore this signature higher ticket premium offering. If you are wanting to now explore a signature higher ticket premium offering, okay, so maybe that's a program that runs for 4 months or 6 months, and it includes one-to-one time with you, and it's got a group and it's got a community and accountability. Like, it's, you know, it's really going to support your students in a much deeper way. you're dealing with a smarter buyer, right? And again, going back to what I said about consumer behavior changing, right? Consumer behavior has changed, meaning consumers are smarter than they've ever been before. Okay, people have been around the block. They've purchased things online before. Okay, always come back to your own behavior here. Think about you. Think about the online courses that you've bought online. Think about the products that you've bought online or even in a shop that are high ticket products, you know, something that's like £1,000, $1,000 or more. When you make that type of purchase, you know, you have expectations, right? That comes with that higher priced product. And because of that, you do your research, okay? Think about your own behavior. You know, if you're spending 1,000 or more or something, you are going to do your research, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to read the reviews. You're going to see if this business that you're about to invest in and their offering that you're about to buy, you're going to do the work behind the scenes to see if it's legit. Yeah, so that you can be certain that this product, you know, whether that's a program or an actual product, is going to help you to solve the problem that you have. And we buy things generally because we have a problem that needs solving. You know, that's why businesses exist. Businesses exist to solve problems. And so being that business owner, you also need to build a higher level of trust, right, with that consumer. You know, they're going to need to trust you before they are actually ready to invest. And you absolutely cannot get that level of assurance and trust simply by scrolling through the reels that a business has created. Do we agree with this, guys? Do we agree with what I'm saying here? Is this landing? Is it dropping? Give me your favorite emoji if this is landing. Yeah, you can't get that level of assurance and that level of trust and confidence before investing at that level just by watching some reels. You get it through long form content, the blog posts, the podcast, the videos. So, you know, when you think about that kind of bingeable content, that bingeability, let's call it, you know, if I were to go to your Instagram right now, is there, or on your website, is it directing me maybe to a podcast channel, maybe to your blog or whatever, or even your Facebook group, right? Is there 5 to 10 hours worth of content that exists that I could go and consume? Okay, let's say I'm in that consideration phase. I may have discovered you through a reel on Instagram, right? Potentially. I may have discovered you there. That's the awareness stage, right? But if I'm considering making a purchase decision with you, I'm going to go and binge some of your content. Okay, so is there 5 to 10 hours worth of content that I can consume if I come to your online space, you know, so that I can learn about you, understand your values, you know, validate that you actually know what you're talking about, that what you're actually telling me is correct. Yeah, and so that I can get that certainty that you can help me to solve my problem. If you don't have that bingeable body of work, I'm loving the word bingeable, it's a great word, that bingeable body of work right now, you're doing your business a massive disservice. So, you know, short form content is great, as I said, for the awareness bit, you know, the reels, the short form video, the stories. You know, you need that as well. You need to be sprinkling that in, but it's not the like foundational piece, you know? So let me make it a little bit more real for you. Let's say you have 2 students, right? Let's say you have 2 students who are emailing you or messaging you about your new online course, okay? One of them has watched maybe 15 seconds, right, of your last 10 reels. And half of those reels or half of those stories or videos, whatever you've put out there, let's say reels, are not even in your voice. You know, it's you dancing or you doing some kind of voiceover with someone else's trending audio, right? And then the other person contacts you and says, Oh, I was Googling for some help on this topic, which is the topic you're an expert in, right? And you came up in Google when I was searching for this, and I've just gone onto your website and I've just binge listened to the last 15 episodes of your podcast. I 100% know that you're the right teacher for me. Like, this happens, guys. This happens. This conversation can happen in your business. Like, we have over 160 episodes of the Yogipreneur podcast. I've had people email me and say, Kelly, I'm on podcast 78. I started from the beginning. I've heard that multiple times. Multiple times. People who are invested in themselves, right? That the type of people that want to come into an online course, they will invest in the research to enable them to make that buying decision, right? They'll invest in that time. And you want the type of people to come into your course who are going to do the work. So if you don't have this long form bingeable body of work, like, you're missing out, right? You're missing out actually on making sales. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, really. You're missing out on sales. If you're sitting there each week, spending hours trying to come up with ideas for reels, or more recently in the last 2 weeks, trying to think, oh, what am I going to share on Threads? And that's your kind of content creation session, right? Part of your week where you spend time working on your reels. Is that you right now? Are you doing that right now? Because instead, I want you to start working on the topics and outlines for the blog post that you're going to be writing over the next month, and work on setting up the events to promote your live videos that you're going to be doing each week, and work on how you can make this content into a podcast. Yeah, that's a good use of your content creation time. You start with the long form content, you get it, then you repurpose it for your short form content for the social media channels. Yeah, that's your repurposing strategy. I teach this inside Yogipreneur Launchpad, okay? That's a content strategy that truly delivers. Yeah, and alongside, when you're doing that, you have it alongside your marketing strategy, okay, to get eyes on that content that you're creating. That's another training, right? That's another episode. But you can learn these foundations inside Yogipreneur Launchpad, okay? So this is our 16-week program. We cover all of these foundations, from email marketing, growing your email list, growing your community, content creation and repurposing, extending your reach and your visibility through marketing activities. And then also creating and selling your first online offerings. We teach that inside Yogipreneur Launchpad, and you get 16 weeks of live Q&A mentorship sessions, okay? So it's all there, guys. We've got this for you if you're feeling stuck with it. Like, don't do yourself a disservice by knowing that you lack these skills, these marketing skills, and then not doing anything about it. Yeah, not doing anything about it. If you don't feel like you're ready to come into an online course to learn this, get into my bingeable content, okay? And I promise you, you'll be ready. Go and digest 5 or 10 hours of my bingeable content, and then you'll be like, okay, I need the program. I need to make this really work. I need to implement this and get this moving. And so, we're here to build businesses, and it requires us to have the marketing skills, to understand how to get ourselves out there. Not just that, but also to understand, how am I going to create this offering? That's not the $10 drop-in class, because, hey, I'm not going to make money as a yoga teacher. I'm not going to be able to sustain myself and my, as a career if I just focus on that. I need to start looking at how I can work with my students in a deeper way. And actually, guys, that's the key thing, isn't it? It's how can we create more impact in people's lives? And we can do that through our memberships, where, our students are with us all the time and we're really supporting them. We can do it through the online courses that we create, the programs, and so on, okay? Going back to those 2 real life examples, yeah, with those 2 students, which one of those 2 students that I just talked about, which one do you think is more likely to succeed inside your online course? Who's it going to be? It's going to be that person that's watched a higher number of your videos, right? It's going to be that person who has binge watched. Yeah, it's going to be that person, isn't it? You know, the one that's really invested time into what you're sharing. You know, the one who has actually done more pre-homework, you know, and consumed more of your content. That's the person, from my own experience, that I see who always ends up being a better student and getting better results, because the content has already started the process, right, of how I teach and the principles that I teach. Bingeable content, yeah, which is what we need to be doing, and creating this bank of work, this body of work, needs to be something that you're doing. You know, if your desire with your yoga business is to create a business that's sustainable, that's there for years to come, you need to start on this right now. You know, we need to start and not delay with it. And also, particularly if you have a desire to charge more money for your offerings. And it's not just about charging more money, it's actually about creating offerings that are more transformational. So if you're wanting to do that in the future, and you're wanting to work with more aligned, you know, pre-qualified students, then this content strategy is something that you need to have in your business. It needs to be this foundation. When you've defined your ideal student and you know who you're serving, guys, and you start to create content that really speaks to these people, you're creating that body of work, right? You're creating it, that content that's really influencing how they make their buying decision. And when you do that, it's going to be a game changer for you when you actually launch your course. Yeah, so it's this content that's building trust that we need. We need this. Are we going to start looking at this as our content strategy instead of just relying on, you know, posting on social media, doing a reel here and there? Because as we know, like what I've shared today, that's not going to help you to create the trust that you need that's required to make the sales, right? And as I said, if you need any support with this, we teach this inside our programs. Yogipreneur Launchpad, you can get inside today. Okay, this is our evergreen program. It's available every day of the year. And the Profitable Yoga Teacher program, we have the wait list for that. I'm going to share the link to the wait list here as well. And we'll be starting the next group later on in the year in October. Okay. There we have it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for me at all, please do reach out. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can send us a DM on Instagram. We're here to support you. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please let me know. And I'm going to love you and leave you for now. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being here with me, and see you all very, very soon. Lots of love. Bye.